Vetches are among the most important plants in the pea family from an economic point of view. And among the vetches is the genus Anthillis, of which there are 20 species, one of which grows in Ireland, and that is kidney vetch, which is one of the characteristic and special plants of dry limestone grassland, and particularly of old quarries such as this. Now here, the inflorescence is a tight head or cluster of between 10 and 20 small yellow flowers, subtended by a pair of leafy bracts at the base. And even though the flowers are very small, they have the structure that's typical of other members of the pea family, such as furze or bird's foot trefoil, which we've looked at already. You have the flag petal at the top, you have the two wing petals at the side, but here there are a number of significant differences. The wing petals at the side are pressed flat against the keel, and there's a little fold at the top of each of them which locks into the opposite one, so that it's kind of folded over the keel at the bottom. The closest to its pollination strategy is bird's foot trefoil, where you may remember the two petals of the keel are fused at the top. Pollen is shed into the keel in the bud, and 5 of the stamens, after the pollen has been shed, 5 of these, the filaments of the stamens, develop these little pegs at the top which can act as a ramrod to push pollen up into the nose of the keel. But here all 10 filaments have club-like ends, curving steeply upwards to fill the conical tip of the keel. And kidney vetch also has a much more elaborate triple locking mechanism between the wings and the keel, so that when the wings are depressed by the bee landing, the keel is also pressed down, pushing the inflated pestle-like knobs at the top of the filaments forward like ramrods, forcing pollen out through the nozzle. The visitors are mainly bumblebees, because only they have a tongue long enough, at least 9 millimeters, to access the nectar at the back of the corolla. You can use a pointer or a sharp pencil to crudely simulate the bee's approach, but only in a very crude way. And if you press down with your pencil sideways, you can see the pollen extruded in toothpaste fashion from the nozzle at the tip of the keel, even more clearly than in bird's foot trefoil, in spite of the smaller size of the flowers. The stigma will only emerge when most of the pollen has been extruded after several visits, and as with bird's foot trefoil, the stigma is covered in a protective filmy layer that can only be rubbed off by contact with the bee, exposing a sticky layer underneath to which pollen on the visitor's body readily adheres. The feature that is most immediately eye-catching is the furry, white, inflated sac of the calyx of 5 sepals, which is retained after fertilization to form a protective papery envelope around the one-seeded fruit. Another example of a floral organ taking on a secondary function, and indeed its primary function of protecting the individual flowers in bud, is more or less taken over by the pair of leafy bracts. It has the, I hope by now familiar, basic structure of flowers in the pea family. But notice the way here the flowers are angled upwards. At the top is the flag petal to signal potential pollinators. At the side, the 2 wing petals as a landing platform, but here they are vertical and have loosely interlocking edges along the top. And at the bottom, covered by the wing petals, the 2 joined petals that form the keel. Among the several insects that feed on kidney vetch is the small blue butterfly, which lays its eggs at this midsummer time of year among the flower heads. I have a fond personal memory of kidney vetch that goes back more than 50 years when I attended a summer course at Cirencester Agricultural College. And I did a project there to measure the effect of the munching of the frugivorous caterpillars of the small blue butterfly on seed production in its kidney vetch host plant.